Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Highlights from Lowlifes. We are the Lowlifes. We are here to do another countdown of different things tonight in honor of Valentine's Day. It's couples or duos in sports. But first, we want to welcome a longtime listener, first time hoster,
Second time.
second time. That's right. Yeah, the fantasy camp one. So we're going to welcome back JC Penny. He's here tonight with us. JC, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Oh, wait, I'm getting a signal from the producer. We have to pass that segment. Sorry. Okay. So we've met JC. I'm Robbie. We've got Rob Weber and Jeff Jones with us tonight. Terry Lee and Marty Brown are both on assignment, known as hangover recovery from the Super Bowl. So anyway, that's enough delay. We should move forward now with the show. Again, tonight's topic are the top 5 duos or couples in sports. I think there was a lot of different ways we could go with this. And since JC is here, let's give him the honorary number 5 kickoff.
All right. Well, I had a lot of trouble with this initially, but I thought, this is easy. Go with J-Lo and A-Rod. And then my personal warden said, no, she's married to Mark Anthony. And then my son said, no, she's with Ben Affleck. At that point, I remembered what Gary Radner said on KNBR. Too many hands on her. Leave her alone. So I'm going to go with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, married in 2014. They have one child by a surrogate. He, of course, a basketball stud, and Gabrielle, an actress. So that's my number 5, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union.
Clearly, you did a deep dive.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, pick somebody, JC.
Oh, I passed it to Jonesy.
All right. I got a decent mix in my list of actual couples and then just sports duos. I'm going to start with an actual couple. This was in a sport that I played when I was in high school. And both of these people were stars at that sport at that time. And
Are you going with Randy and Ty Babylonia?
Yes, I am. I'm not Mark Tremello. No, I got into tennis really heavily in high school. And I was a big fan and I followed the sport. And 2 of my favorites were Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf. After they both retired, they end up getting together, getting married, having some kids, and they're still together. And from everything I can see, pretty darn happy. So 2 worlds coming together, Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf.
Good choice.
Over to Rob Weber.
Wait, before he goes, we have a JC relevant comment.
Oh.
Excellent call, JC. Don't let them give you any trouble. That was a good one.
All right, you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
I got the Vonnie seal of approval. I'm happy.
That's right. All right. Let's see. My number 5 pick. I was watching the MLB channel the other day, and Sean Casey was talking about the time that he got to hit off of Olympic softball player Jenny Finch. And they showed him, she struck out 2 or 3 guys, but he hit a weak grounder to first base, and he acted as if he'd just hit a home run.
I would too.
I had forgotten that Jenny Finch married a Major League Baseball player. Casey Daigle was a relief pitcher for the Diamondbacks back in early 2000s. Played for a few years in the bigs. They got married his first year in the bigs, and they are still married today. They got 3 kids. I think they live down in Southern California someplace. So Jenny Finch and Casey Daigle.
Nice.
Robbie.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood the assignment.
Yeah, probably.
But seriously, in honor of Marty Brown, this really isn't my number 5, but Marty's not here, and I know it would make his top 5, if not his number 1. So I'm going to throw it out there, Marty. If you're listening, we hope you recover soon. My number 1, really, they're not necessarily people in sports, but they had one of the most impactful sports moments of all time. It's a lot of questions and answers, a lot of positations and theorems and so forth. But Abbott and Costello with the legendary "Who's on First," one of the greatest duo or couple moments in the history of sports, really. And for those of you that don't know, Marty Brown can sit and watch that on a loop for 3 or 4 days straight without having to alleviate his prostate, which alone is a major feat because that happens every 36 minutes otherwise. So anyway,
Wow.
so the number
Wow.
5, Marty Brown, I gave you Abbott and Costello. They made the list, pal.
You insulted Marty more in that one spout than you have in this entire run of the show.
And yet I'm here for him.
Absolutely.
And you didn't misjudge the assignment because there's some interesting ones to come.
Good. That's what I was hoping for. All right. That's round 1, right?
That is.
All right. Let's make a turn. Mr. Weber, why don't you go?
All right.
Number 4.
I was out in Florida in 1995 to go to spring training and went to see a Reds spring training game in the city called Plant City. It's March. It is 28 degrees at game time.
In Florida?
In Florida.
Holy shnikes.
I am wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I run into the pro shop to get a sweatshirt or jacket or something. And I see the manager of the Reds at the time, Ray Knight, with his new bride, golfer Nancy Lopez. They were very nice. I got my sweatshirt, and after the game, I got my program signed, my Reds program signed by Nancy Lopez, which is a unique item that not a lot of people have. They were married for 27 years, I believe. Got divorced in 2009. I think they had a few kids together, but that was kind of a unique relationship. She was dominating golf at the time, and he was the manager of a Major League Baseball team. So that's my number 4.
Good pick. She's from my hometown of Roswell, New Mexico.
Excellent. Nice. All right, JC, give us number 4.
Number 4. Back to baseball as usual. I'm going with Mia Hamm and Nomar Garcia Parra.
Nomar.
Nomar. All-star shortstop Mia Hamm, Olympic gold medalist in soccer. They have 3 kids, and as far as I know, they're still married.
Excellent.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't know what Nomar does these days, but I haven't seen him in any old timers games.
Yeah, true.
I thought he tried out commentary. I don't know how well he did. I don't really remember listening to him.
Mm-hmm. I saw a couple of games that he did, and not really earth shattering.
So you're saying he's on the Friday night Apple TV feed?
Oh.
By the way, Webby, your Nancy Lopez sign program is right up there with the Sheik's Pope sign ball.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yes. It's always good to have a baseball signed by the Pope.
One of a kind.
All right, JC, who's up?
B. Jonesy.
All right. I'm gonna go a little take a little left turn here. I'm gonna go with the Rivals, but they're known hand in hand. When they came into the league, they pretty much kind of revolutionized the sport that they were in. They were always pitted against each other, but at the end of the day, they were friends and respected the hell out of each other. And that was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
Ah, yes.
Nice
yes.
pick.
Mhm.
Like I said, Robbie, we were going to get to that weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's a
wasn't
good seg.
wasn't going
good
to be all
segue.
nice, friendly couples.
Good segue. Well, and I always liked Larry Bird's quote that he hated Magic, but he loved Irvin.
Yeah, that's right. And I love it. The Bird's retirement ceremony, Magic came out and he was in his full Lakers jumpsuit, the warm up suit,
Right.
gold, full thing. And Larry walked over to him and pretended to wrestle with him, and he ripped open and he had a Celtics t-shirt on.
Yep.
Nice.
Good stuff.
I think that leaves you, Robbie.
Yeah, it does. So I mentioned earlier, good segue, and that's because my number 4 pick kind of ties into yours. For all those years in the 80s when the Celtics were great, Larry Bird, when he first came into the league, was known as a great shooter, great offensive player, but he was horribly lacking in defense. And that all changed when they got this guy. And I have never seen two players that were more in sync with one another. And a lot of people think I'm going to say Kevin McHale, and I'm not. This guy changed everything. He taught Bird how to play team defense, like lead the man he was guarding into somebody else, lead him into trouble. He didn't have to fully guard the guy all the time. He taught him how to adjust for that. And they communicated without speaking. If you look at any of the no look passes, the guy that set him up all those years, and they were great friends, Dennis Johnson and Larry Bird. DJ and Bird could move the ball like nobody's business. They knew exactly where each other were going to be on the court at any given time, and it was great to watch. If you get a chance to go back and watch those highlight tapes, just how Bird, I mean, the famous play, of course, is the steal off of Isaiah Thomas in the playoffs. And
Yeah.
Bird got it and turned around and knew where DJ would be, and DJ was cutting right back. He had already been down court and cut all the way back up court. Bird
Yep.
put the ball right in his hands and for the layup and the win. So those guys, unbelievable duo. Love them to death.
And you mentioned McHale. I wouldn't have been upset with you saying Bird McHale, Bird Parrish, Bird
Yep.
Ainge, because they just had that run of just they were all on the same page for multiple years.
And Bird and Magic were the two guys out of all the famous NBA players. They were the two guys that made everybody else around them better.
Yep.
So, anyway, good basketball knowledge, Jonesy, for a guy that doesn't like basketball.
I like the Celtics of that era. After that, I was out.
Well, I guess that's the end of round 4, and so that brings us to everybody's favorite segment. What you drinking? As always, we are sponsored by our friends at Almanac Brewing. Almanac, one of the finest craft brewers in the United States, or anywhere in the world for that matter. They sponsor the show because they have no taste. But they make great beer, and we are all drinking different beers, and this is the part where we like to talk about them. If you're at home watching the show live, and you should be, hit that microphone button down at the bottom and let us know what you're drinking right now. I've got the Almanac Porch Light Lager. Say it with me, folks. Like a moth to a light, I'm drawn to this beer. That's right. It's a delicious beer. What do you got, Jonesy?
Tried and true.
No shocker there.
Once Kolsch, always Kolsch. JC?
Well, I picked up a Rocktoberfest that happened to be left on the shelf, and it's still good.
Nice.
Rocktoberfest is their seasonal beer, and it's great. It's got a little punch to it. Good for these cold winter days.
Yes, indeed.
Very nice.
Good choice. And I can't wait to hear about this one.
Hey, folks, I'm really excited. I just got a new shipment of sour beer in today. I'm drinking the Almanac Strawberry Supernova or Sour Nova that is barrel aged. This is my first attempt at the strawberry sour. Let me give it a sip.
You're wearing the right color shirt.
Mm-hmm. My Valentine sweater. So far I have to compare this to the Cherry Sour Nova and the what was the last
I
one I
believe
had?
it was the distance to the sun, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. Robbie, I was um, at the local liquor store the other night, and I noticed an entire shelf of Almanac sours, different kinds. So there is a big market for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It wouldn't be my beer of choice, but I am seeing it fly off the shelves. So, folks, you can get the strawberry sour Nova now at Almanac. All right.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
And they built their reputation on sours. Their Love Hazy IPA now, of course, is their big popular beer. It's you can find that everywhere. But we appreciate the friends at Almanac that keep supplying us beer, so we can continue to drink on this show and entertain you for hours and hours upon end. So thanks again, folks at Almanac. If you're visiting the Alameda, California area, make sure you stop by the brewery, say hi, tell them you heard about Almanac from the Highlights from Lowlife show. They will take pity upon you. All right, then. We'll start round 3. How about Jonesy?
All right. So Rob made fun of me for talking about basketball so much
I didn't
because
make
I
fun of
love.
you. I was highly shocked.
Well, guess what? I'm going to talk basketball again.
No way.
And the other sport I truly really don't know much about and don't watch at all, soccer.
That checks out.
So this couple has a soccer player and a basketball player, and it is a couple that can be controversial in some circles because of their opinion and using their platform for causes they believe in. But at the end of the day, they're a couple that are in love and prove it many, many times over and seem to be extremely happy. And I'm talking about Megan Rapone and Sue Bird.
Mm.
Oh,
They both have excelled in their sports and have found each other and have used their public profile for good and have succeeded in having a very loving relationship on top of that. So that's my number 3.
They met.
Excellent.
They met at the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, nice. I figured they'd cross paths many times with all of the celebrity work they did. So very nice. I'm gonna go to JC.
All right. My number 3 is a baseball player who I don't particularly care for, and his lady, who's an actress who I think is wonderful. I'm talking about Kate Upton and Verlander.
You're gonna have to
yeah.
repeat
I
that.
drowned you
Robbie's
out with
playing
the
sound
sound effects.
effects.
I'm talking about Kate Upton and Justin Verlander, who got married in 2017, right after he won 3 days after the end of the World Series, and you know they're a power couple. You can't talk about it any other way. So Justin Verlander and Kate Upton, my number.
Nice. Good pick.
Excellent.
All right.
All right. Who's up?
Pick somebody, JC.
All right, Webby.
All right. Um, are you guys familiar with the actress by the name of Mamie Van Doren?
I've heard the name, but
Yeah,
I
she's still alive.
I'm the only one probably is old enough to remember her.
That's right. She's 91. She's still alive today.
JC, you're
And
what, 3 years older than her then?
Yeah, about. I'm 7 years older than Dirt, so yeah.
so around, I believe it was 1963, there was a whirlwind romance that lasted about a month and resulted in engagement to pitcher Bo Belinsky. I don't know if you guys,
Oh yeah.
Bo Bo was in the major leagues for about 8 years. Didn't have any of the success that everybody thought he would, but he sure enjoyed his time around the Hollywood stars when he was with the L.A. Angels or the California Angels or whatever they were at the time. But Bo got cold feet at the last minute, and after that whirlwind month together, he jumped out of the relationship and um, went on with his life, and Mamie went on to marry somebody and be in a relationship for a very long time. So that was on the cover of all of the gossip magazines in 1963. Mamie Van Dorn and Bo Belinsky. Hey, JC,
You know why he stopped writing books? Because he masturbates.
What?
I don't know. Just the way JC was there concentrating so close to the camera lens.
we're getting to see one side of JC's face. All right, Robbie, I think you still have a pick in this round.
I have the floor.
All right.
And it's actually, so in baseball, it's two guys that are extremely talented, but I really love watching because they have a lot of fun in the dugout. They're very serious in the moment on the field, but they look like we all wish we could have that much fun playing baseball. I wish a lot of guys in baseball could have as much fun as these two guys have all the time, constantly. They are best friends. They travel together. They bought houses next to each other. They have been known to disguise themselves and show up at adult baseball games and play opposite handed from what they normally do to throw guys off. They play ball with kids on the street that they meet. Just two really good dudes that are just having a great time playing baseball. That's from the Atlanta Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies. Those guys are inseparable, and they just have so much fun on the field. It's just so much fun to watch. So, I mean, we try to have that much fun in the league we play in. So I appreciate seeing somebody making zillions of dollars still playing the game like they love it as a kid.
Nice.
So there you go.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. So we're gonna turn the corner here and head into round two. We're making great time. We could use a few comments from you folks out there listening. So hit that microphone button and leave us your top 5 list, or criticize JC's way of leaning into the camera. Anything you want to cover, we're here for. So let's start round two. Webby, why don't you go first?
All right. John McEnroe.
Oh,
And every referee ever.
Yeah. You can't be serious. So John struggled in relationships for a while. I don't know why. I'm guessing it was probably an anger
No.
issue, but I have no idea. But he found the love of his life in a rock band. The lead singer for Scandal, Patti Smythe, and they have been married for years. They have not gotten a divorce. They've had children together. He seems to, or she seems to ground him.
Well, she is the warrior.
That's right. Yeah, I am the warrior. So she seems to ground him. His persona is now more of an act than anything else. So when you see him at celebrity events, he's just blowing up because that's what the people want to see. But it works. They have a solid marriage and have had one for years. I did see a few years ago, VH1 had a show where they tried to get bands that have broken up back together again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys ever saw this. And
Yep.
one of them they tried to get back together was Scandal. And the host of the show had Patty in a bar and was trying to talk her into it. And McEnroe comes into the bar and realizes he's on a television show and says to her, "Oh, you'd be stupid to get back into that." Kind of ruined the TV show, but yeah, McEnroe and Patty Smythe. That's my number 2 pick. Jeff.
I'm going to go with a classic. Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Gotta love a classic, even though it didn't last that long, and they ended up separating. But how more famous can you get than that relationship when it was happening? They were just everything in the pre tabloid news. They were tabloid news, basically. Every move they made, every place they went, and both of them were famous for their own careers. So yeah, that's my number 2, Joe and Marilyn.
Well done.
Excellent.
Robbie.
All right. Number 2 for me, kind of a different twist. Back when they were lovable buffoons, the Seattle Seahawks had 2 awkward guys that actually won them several games and made them somewhat of a competitive team. And they were always fascinating to watch. Jim Zorn and Steve Largent.
Yes.
Jim Zorn would run around in circles, and Largent would somehow know exactly where he was going to end up. And Zorn, without looking, running the wrong way with his head turned the other way, would flip the ball to the spot where Largent just happened to be standing wide open all the time. And it was crazy. Jim Zorn, the lefty, with that kind of sidearm quick flip thing. And those guys just, again, we talked about it with DJ and Bird, guys that know where each other's going to be without looking. They didn't have to have contact. Largent would run, he would surprise you because he wasn't the fastest guy, but he'd run like at 90% speed. And so he'd still have that extra 10%. So he would fool guys and he'd pick up a little bit of pace and get some separation, and Zorn would hit him. But they were fun to watch because it looked like they scripted the plays like we did as kids on their hand. Okay, you go around over here and then run like 50 yards that way, and then turn left and then turn right and do a figure 8 and come back. And that's how those plays always looked. If you haven't seen it, NFL Films has a whole bunch of stuff on Zorn and Largent, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Those 2 guys were goofy. They didn't look like football players, and they put up some incredible numbers. Largent was one of the best receivers ever. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, we got a little bit of time, so I was going to talk about Largent for a second. He's super nice guy, kind of religious, smaller than most wide receivers, slow as you described,
right.
but ran disciplined routes. Good guy. And if you remember, the Seahawks had a kind of a rivalry with the Broncos. And there was a cornerback on the Broncos, Dennis Smith, on a Monday night game. Dirty hit on Steve Largent. Just wailed on him. It didn't get called for a penalty, but knocked Largent out of the game in a situation where he wasn't even part of the play. But interestingly, karma always comes around. Largent got back in the game, and there was a situation where I think it was a special teams play, and Largent just leveled Dennis Smith on a clean block. Smith did not see it coming, and I remember Cosell and a couple of the other announcers actively cheering in the booth when they saw the play. All right, Rob.
I think we're going to JC here.
JC.
Okay.
All right. Since Jonesy got both of the number 2s that I had down, he's forcing me to go kind of kinky.
Ooh.
I'm going for the threesome.
Oh no.
Tinkers to Evers to Chance.
You stole my number 1. I thought I had the secret pick.
Well, hey, payback is a bitch. Huh?
Oh man. I thought nobody was going to come up with that.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the threesome. Tinkers to Everett.
You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
So that would be what, the 1908 Cubs or around?
Yes.
About then.
Yeah.
About then.
Yeah.
I was only 3 at the time.
So Mimi Van Doren was just being born.
Yeah.
Nice pick, JC. Nice pull.
Well, that'll bring us to the end of round 2, and it is now time to let Rob Weber wax rhapsodic about the Mic'd Up app and some of the shows that are available to us.
All right. I'm going to kill more time than usual because we're moving briskly through this show.
I feel like we should stay with the pace.
All right.
Reload.
Yeah, don't shoot the car because the driver doesn't know what he's doing.
All right, folks. We are using the Mic'd Up app. And thank you to the folks at Mic'd Up for letting us host this show. Yay. So if you're using the app, what we'd really like to do is correspond with you. And the way that you can do that in the app is down at the bottom of the screen. You should see a microphone. If you tap that microphone, you've got 30 seconds to leave us a comment or question. Then you can send that to us and we will play it on the air. So you probably heard us play certain folks over and over again. Those are our tried and true customers. You can be one of those. If you simply are afraid to hear your own voice on the air, you could text or email us, but that's not nearly as much fun. So please use that microphone and send us some comments and questions. Mic'd Up is currently trying to sell into the professional and collegiate sports market. And the shows that you're seeing out here are shows that are kind of a kind of proof of concept to show others that this can work, and you can have up to 4 hosts and guests at the same time. Some of the other shows on the platform are the Jim Darby Show, which was recently renamed. Jim is a former executive with Easton Sports and an accomplished author. He's written a couple of books, including one called Bears and the Bigs, baseball players who are have played at Cal and then went on to play in the big leagues. Jim has tons of great stories to tell about his time at Easton and Mizuno. Jim has temporarily moved his show to Thursdays at 4 p.m. because he is doing Cal baseball announcing. So next Thursday's show, Jim will be telling us some of the most hilarious moments that he's encountered during his time at Easton. Another show is our friends with Yankees Coast to Coast. Put the boo in. Boo.
Oh, wow.
And that's a real riled up crowd. Sounds like a riot.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So our friends Adam Schneider and Mike Miller have a show every Thursday night at 4 p.m. also, Pacific time. Mike's on the West Coast, Adam's on the East Coast, and they have guests that have either gone to Yankees fantasy camp with them or participated in the camp some way. In fact, they've had some of the pros from the camp on the show. They talk a lot of Yankees, but they are also bringing up various baseball topics from time to time. One of their shows a few weeks ago was to go through the vast collection that one of the guests has. It was quite fun to see all the things that this guy has collected during his love of baseball. It was great. Another one is the Sports Hall of Fame show, the Florida Sports Hall of Fame show with John Rieger and Barry Smith. John is a teaching PGA professional, and Barry is a former football player with the Green Bay Packers. The two of them are hosting a show which highlights folks who have been inducted into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. They've had folks on there like Fred Bolitnikoff, Wade Boggs, Rick Barry, to name a few. And speaking of Rick, he has a show. The show is intermittent. He and his co-host Cyrus will jump on and do a show about various NBA, ABA, collegiate basketball topics. Um, Rick, as always, is very opinionated, and definitely has his thumb on the pulse of of basketball at any one time. It's a good window into what the Warriors are doing. So he's a fun listen. Um, and I did say that some of these shows are not on a regular schedule. The way you can find out when the shows are going to occur is to find an upcoming show, open it up, and hit the heart button next to one of the hosts. You are now following that host, and anytime there's a show announced or changed, you will get notified through the app. Okay? Hey, Robbie, I'm done.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
I did text an extra 30 seconds. I'm so sorry.
My finger's been on the soundboard waiting to push that button. All right. Number one. Let's lob it out there. Who feels like throwing out their number one first?
Jeff
Okay.
took mine.
Well, JC took mine.
So I'll go number one here. He was 13 seasons in the NFL, 3 Super Bowls. She was a high school tennis and soccer star who got the first offer of a soccer scholarship to Vanderbilt, but she turned it down to go to Stanford, where she met her husband. And she played all 4 years at Stanford. They had 3 sons, one of whom is active in football. I'm talking about Ed and Lisa McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah.
Christian is a star for the 49ers. Just played well in the Super Bowl, except for the one drop. But they actually have 3 sons, and all of them played football in college. So Ed and Lisa McCaffrey, good
Excellent.
couple for my number one.
Yeah, he's an underrated receiver too.
Yeah.
Would they say that he's the first player in Super Bowl history to have 80 yards rushing and receiving in one game?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
No.
All right, who's going next, JC?
Let's throw it back to you.
Okay,
Robbie?
fair enough. I'm going to go with my fascination with announcers. I'm going to go with probably the power couple of all sports announcers together. One was excitable, colorful, loud, obnoxious, abrasive, and yet hilarious. The other one was all class, dignity, and knew how to blend his skills against the other guy's skills. And really at their peak, I don't think there was anybody more entertaining. You could watch the crappy Falcons and the crappy Saints. If these guys were broadcasting, it was going to be entertaining and worth your time to watch. And that's John Madden and Pat Summerall. Those guys were awesome together. Pat Summerall had a super wicked, dry sense of humor. John Madden had a super wicked, wet sense of humor. And somehow they're like a wet, dry vac. You just flip the switch and suck everything up, right? So Summerall and Madden for me, number one for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah. Jonesy.
All right. So I'm taking one off my my honorable mentions list, and I have 2 on the list, and they're both they're not couples because they're related. So I'm going to go with the sisters, Nelly and Jessica Korda, current PGA stars who are playing like crazy, and both very high on the list. Nelly bounces around at number 1, number 2, usually top 5. Jessica's top 20 most of the time. Incredible. And then if you want to extend the family tree, their brother's a top tennis player, and both their parents were top tennis players. So it's an incredible athletic family they got going on there. But I'm going to go with the sisters, Nellie and Jessica Corda.
Well done.
All right.
That should leave Mr. Rob Weber, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised this one hasn't been mentioned, but the unholy matrimony between Chris Evert and Greg Norman, tennis and golf together. A marriage that lasted almost 2 years. I always thought, they seem like a nice couple. They, seem like good people, and I'm sure they are. But I did notice that Greg Norman was not quite the person that I thought he was later on when he insisted that LIV golf was the only way to go, and that golfers should be paid tons of money before they actually do anything. And that we should support, terrorists over in Saudi Arabia because they have lots of money. But that makes it political, so I won't talk about that. Anyway, they were married for a couple of years, kind of a quick romance. Chris Evert is remarried, and I think Greg Norman is as well. But they were the power couple for a while. So that would be my number one. After Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe was stolen from me.
Mercilessly, I might add.
That's right. I do have a lot of good honorable mentions, but one of you guys could play the comments. I think we have a few out there.
Yeah, Jonesy, why don't you go? I'm pouring myself a porch light lager because I saw a light.
Oh, jeez. Do we have to hear that again?
I'm sure our friends at Almanac love it.
All right. You mentioned Mr. Mike Miller on the Yankees podcast here, so let's hear from him.
So, does a foursome count? That's what Michael Miller wants to know. If that's the case, then Mike Kekich, Fritz Peterson, and their wives go to the top of the list, since they seem to have interchanged and swapped between the 73 and 74 seasons, I think it was. Anyhow, those are my top foursome as far as couples. I'll hit you with a couple of more in a minute.
Weber, do you want to very quickly for the fandom and the listeners recount that story?
Yeah, that was amazing. This was during the early 70s. The Yankees actually weren't very good. This was pre-Steinbrenner. And it is New York. It is kind of, right coast Hollywood. And the sports writers were looking for something to talk about. And these two pitchers on the Yankees, Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich, they came forward and said that they'd spent a lot of time together, they're couples, and that they'd made the decision to swap wives. This is a real thing. And it happened. And Fritz Peterson was very happy. And I think he had a very long relationship with Kekich's ex-wife. And Kekich, not so happy. It didn't work out so well. I don't think it lasted very long at all. But that was the story out of 1973 New York Yankees baseball, because the team
There wasn't anything else.
was not any good. So, yep. I
All right.
do remember seeing Mike Kekich play out here for the San Jose Missions one time, and he's trying to resurrect his career in the mid 70s, and he goes for a post game interview, and the poor guy couldn't get through the interview. Everybody from the stands is yelling down, asking about So I think he probably regretted making that public, but that was, of course, what happened. So, yeah.
All right, Mr. Miller's follow up.
Here's a couple of more for you guys. We'll go with Lindsey Vonn. Lindsey Vonn and Tiger Woods. Lindsey Vonn and PK Subban. I think that's good enough for her. And then I'll go to tennis. Chris Everett and Jimmy Connors in the 70s, showing my age. And then last but not least, Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi. They've been together for a while, and now they're pickleball champions.
I did not know they converted to pickleball.
Well, Mike Miller is definitely your source for pickleball information.
So I wasn't aware Lindsey Vonn went out with PK Subban as well.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Wow. So,
but he drove a big 4-wheel drive and he had the safety cage around his headlights, so it wasn't that big a deal.
And then we got our other most often contributor, Vonnie. But first, a comment.
Sorry, Robbie. Nobody beats Kruko and Kipe.
Ooh.
I think that was the commentator.
That seems like a San Francisco homer thing to say. So,
but we support it. All right, we got Vonnie's list broken up into multiple parts. Here we go.
One of mine is the Brian Wilson and Buster Posey winning the 2010 World Series for the San Francisco Giants. That was a duo.
Yeah.
I am surprised more Giants didn't come up with us.
Yeah. It's like I always thought of those two guys as being the devil and the angel sitting on your shoulders.
It's the Animal House scene, right?
Yeah, but that started the Buster hug thing.
Yes.
Now, Gerald, I'm surprised at you.
Another one I thought we would see in Homer sportsmanship.
Another one is Joe Montana and Dwight Clark for the catch, in quotes, for the 49ers for San Francisco.
Very much so.
I thought about them, but I mean, he threw passes to Freddie Solomon a lot too, whereas Zorn and Largent, that was it.
Yeah,
nobody else.
Because that's all they had. All we had was each other.
Yeah.
All right, we continue.
So if we're going to go with the romantic couples in sports, I would say Steph Curry and his wife, Ayesha Curry. They are a dynamic duo, and their kids are going to follow in their footsteps as well.
Yeah.
Good call.
That's that they have they're a corporation now.
Yeah.
They are. But
everything they do is becoming a franchise.
Yeah. And finally,
another romantic couple I have to throw out there because great Giant is Hunter Pence and his wife Lexi, or Alexa, that she's known professionally. But they are the cutest couple, and she's the only one, I think, on this planet that could live with a guy as crazy as he is, but have as much fun together.
Nice. I'll double up on the Giants duo for all their work that they do in charities, and Brandon Crawford and his wife. And I'm drawing a blank on her name, but they're doing a million things for this community, which is incredible.
Yep. Is that one of your honorable mentions?
It was not. I just thought of it when I saw her list.
So that we call that a one-off.
A one-off.
And that doesn't
yes.
count against your honorable mention count.
Oh, why? Thank you, sir.
Fuck house.
So we've gone through this entire show, and nobody has mentioned the power couple from the Super Bowl. I am so proud of you guys.
I think that was at least on my part, that was intentional.
Yeah, hands off.
I saw her slam a beer during the game, and then like,
she
okay,
slammed
you know
the
what?
beer.
I'm coming around to this thing.
It looked to me like it was if they put me on screen, we have to chug. And that's what happened.
They might have been playing a drinking game, which
Yeah.
that would just elevate it that much
Yeah.
more for me. Yeah, I'm good with that. Show Taylor, take a drink.
Now, if Mama Kelsey was in that drinking contest.
Yeah. I didn't find the coverage egregious.
No.
It flashed up there every once in a while. She wasn't center stage at the trophy ceremony. She was off to the side.
Yep.
It doesn't bother me. I know
Not
it
at all.
bothers the hell out of a lot of people, but it's like, okay,
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. She's not the one turning the camera up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
It's so.
That's an
I mean,
NFL decision.
yeah.
So,
Well,
and it worked for them.
The under one on the screenshots for the first half, it was 3.5, and it was under for the first half, and then it blew up.
Kelsey started playing well, and she got more screen time.
Yeah, because they couldn't keep showing her say fuck all the time.
Yeah. Which elevates her a little bit more.
That's right.
That's
all right. That's enough Super Bowl talk, I think.
Well, we covered the Swift and Kelsey thing very deftly, I think.
Yes.
Right.
So we are now at honorable mentions.
Yeah. There's one I can't believe we didn't talk about. And it always looked like he was kind of embarrassed to be with her. Frank and Kathy Lee Gifford.
Nice one.
He was such a low-key guy, so professional, so aware of his surroundings, and he, somehow fell into a relationship with her, a very, very different person. And I guess it worked for them, but when they were on screen together, he was like, "Oh God, how do I get through this?" So that one I thought we would cover. And
that's probably like the Bird and Magic thing. Like, I love Kathy. I really hate Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
I got two real quick. A classic, Ruth and Gehrig.
Oh yeah,
just a great duo together.
Yeah.
And then so the two baseball players that didn't play together for very long, but we knew their careers. They played a short time together, but long enough to hit back-to-back home runs. Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr.
Yeah. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even more than the back-to-back home runs, remember the play when Ken Griffey Sr. is under the fly ball and Jr. runs over in front of him and catches it?
Yep. And is laughing the whole way to the dugout.
And
Kelly
Dad
Lee
sold it to on the field was like, what the?
Kelly Lee.
That's right.
Yep.
JC, what you got?
I really haven't got too much on the because I used all my honorable mentions when you took my my number. And I had Steph and Aisha Curry as mine. She was a TV star and an author in Canada when they got married, and they've just blown up as a couple.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was a TV star.
Yeah, she had a cooking show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in Canada, and she's a cookbook author and bunch
I
of
knew
that.
I knew that. I just didn't know she had her own show. I knew
Yeah, I
she's
didn't know either.
done stuff recently. I didn't know she'd done stuff.
Yeah.
Take
That's
off,
cool.
eh? Is that the truth? Eh?
Okay, guys. Who was known as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Robert Redford and Paul Newman.
Well, in the movie, but how about in the NFL?
God, you got me.
Larry Zonka and Jim Kick.
Really?
Cover of
Hmm.
Sports Illustrated as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I'd never
They
heard that before.
did everything together. They were considered to be a couple on the field.
Nice.
Interesting.
Baseball, Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good one.
Absolutely.
Playing
What a
right
couple.
next to each other for years and years and years.
You know, you just took my top 5 guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. You already took an answer from me with that.
Jim Kick,
Sweet Lou.
Sweet Lou.
Sweet Lou Whitaker, man. Guy
Yep.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. If Trammell's in, Whitaker should be in.
Yep.
They should have one plaque between them.
I had a couple. I'm wearing the shirt. Kevin Mitchell and Will Clark. Were they
Yeah.
not the odd couple, but they got along great. They loved each
Oh,
other and completely different guys.
Yep.
And then my actual number 5, but I deferred to Abbott and Costello with who's on first for Marty. But my actual number 5 was Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek. The Monday or the Saturday baseball game of the week when I was growing up, those guys were perfect together. That's all I hear in my head when I see like the Orioles play the Royals, because back then that was the only way you could see any other team but your own was on the Saturday game of the week, and those guys were just the voice of my childhood listening to baseball. So,
Yep.
And then the other one, Meadowlark Lemon and Goose Tatum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I would have gone with Meadowlark and Curly Neal.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
would have gone. I would have gone
Yeah.
Curly as well.
Yeah, I kind of go Goose because they played off of each other. Curly kind of did his own thing, but Meadowlark and Goose set each other up. They played straight man to the punchline guy and then switched back and forth. I personally,
Meadowlark.
so those are mine.
I think Meadowlark passed away a few years ago, but he used to come to baseball spring training every year and sit in and sign at Fergie Jenkins' charity signings that were taking place within each of the stadiums. And everybody else, getting baseball signed, but Meadowlark had these tiny basketballs, and they're the ABA basketballs, and he'd sign them for people. Really nice guy.
Nice.
Great guy. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right.
Well, I mean, we could stretch this out, but I mean, that's just going to lose us more viewers than we've already lost. So, with that said, we've come to the end of another wonderful episode of Highlights from Lowlifes. We'll be back next week. We'll post our topic here in the next day or two. But we want to thank Mic'd Up for once again tolerating this shit show of a program. And then Almanac Brewing for always being there to get us some free beer when we really, really need it, especially Rob and his Sour Nova. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Cheers.
From